civilians were hit by shelling earlier today. Reports of 4 children wounded. That's the kind of stuff that Congressman Michael McCaul is worried about. Sits on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the Texas Republican, kind enough to join us. This is the kind of stuff
Thanks,
you've
Neil.
been talking about, Congressman, that the targeting of civilians is real, it's clear. Taking out a shopping mall is not taking out a center where soldiers are housed. So they know what they're doing, don't they?
You know, they do. They want to break the spirit of Ukraine, break the will of the people. This war didn't go as well as Putin had hoped for. He was told 3 to 4 days. Now we're in 20 plus whatever. And it's shocking that he would hit these refugees just trying to flee their country, and they leave their husbands or fathers behind, you know, to fight the war. I just recently came back, as you know, from the Poland-Ukraine border, saw them. Poland has been very generous in terms of taking in these refugees. They do want to stay close to their homes. They hope they can go back at some point in time. But I do think when the president visits and meets with NATO and the EU, that this comes up, I think there should be a burden sharing of these refugees.
I wondered as well, Congressman, if, God forbid, the Russians succeed, take over the capital, take over all of these cross points, they could fight the good fight there amidst an occupying army. But you're likely to see a swelling of those refugees way beyond the numbers we're seeing now. Are these neighboring countries, is NATO, are we in Washington prepared for that?
Gotta hope so. And we've had those discussions. I think the Eastern NATO countries should take in these refugees. It's the worst we've seen really since World War II. And, you know, I think this war, you know, it's stalling around Ukraine. They're making some, Russians making some progress at Mariupol. That's the key port city to control the Black Sea, and also with Odessa, they're starting an offensive there. I think most alarming, though, Neil, was that the 2 hypersonics that were fired into western Ukraine. These are weapons that we have not yet advanced, and the Chinese have those as well. This was a bit of a warning shot to NATO that they have that capability, and it's a part of their strategy called escalate to de-escalate. And I think you'll see more provocative things coming out of Russia, like, God forbid, chemical weapons or short-range tactical nukes.
If they do use chemical weapons, and you're quite right to say the fact that even using these hypersonic missiles is a whole new element in warfare, I'm just beginning to wonder what our response should be. Does that warrant NATO getting involved? Because this is a serious line that's been crossed.
Well, I think it's a discussion we need to be having now. And I've talked to the administration at very high levels about this. We need to know what are the red lines. This obviously violates the Geneva Convention in a big way. We can't do a red line like we did in Syria and not take it seriously. And I think NATO needs to be on board with what are the red lines and what would be the appropriate response. Certainly the nations that have been sitting on the sidelines on this confrontation would need to get more involved, and I would argue the weapons coming in as well. Whether we hit them in country, obviously that would escalate this, and we want to avoid, you know, a World War III situation. But the red line would say to Putin, if you cross this line, you're the one that's being provocative, not NATO.
Hopefully we don't come to that point, as you said. Congressman McCaul, thank you very much. Good seeing you.
Thanks, Neil. You as well.